Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here. Today, I want to talk to you about something that's often misunderstood, and that's school bonds, tax rates, and what they really mean for your wallet. This presentation is going to be meant to clarify common misconceptions and provide the facts using publicly available sources, including the Johnson County Appraisal District. So let's go ahead and dive in. You'll often hear, it's not a tax increase, it's just a bond. And technically, that's true. The tax rate itself may not change, but here's the important part. If your home's appraised value increases, you'll end up paying more in taxes, even if the rate stays the same. Think of it like tipping at a restaurant. In 2024, your meal would cost $63.58. You add 10%, and your total comes to $69.93. Now, fast forward in 2025, your meal costs $96.48, adjusted for inflation. The same 10% tip, but now you're paying $106.12. It's the same rate, but a higher bill. That's how this works. The county and the schools know this. After all, where does the revenue to pay for the bond come from? Now, you're going to hear people say, well, if you're upset, talk to the appraisal district. School bonds don't impact taxes. That's false. This is a classic distraction, a look over here tactic. In 2024, Johnson County reported a 12.6% increase in assessed values for single family homes. So here's the formula: higher property value, more tax revenue, even if the tax rate doesn't change. This is how local governments raise more money without technically raising the rate, and they get away with it. Now here's a visual representation of the tax rates for both Cleburne ISD and the city of Cleburne. In 2021 and 2022, you'll notice that there were higher tax rates. In 2023 and 2024, those tax rates were lower. However, inflation went through the roof. The city of Cleburne taxes did the same thing in 2021 and 2022. The tax rates were higher. In 2023 and 2024, those tax rates were lowered, and this adjusted for the more expensive home prices. Now, this is an actual home from the Johnson County Appraisal District. In 2020, that home was valued at $202,864. In 2021, that house went up 17.25% in value to $237,835. Again, in 2022, the Johnson County Appraisal District said that property was 10% higher. In 2023, again, 10% higher. And in 2024, another 10% higher. That same home that cost $202,864 or valued at that now costs $316,559. Now here you'll see that same home's assessed value. Again, in 2020, it was valued just under $203,000, and they would have paid an annual tax of $2,453.78. 4 years later, that same home is paying almost $4,000 in taxes. Now, in 2023, the Johnson County Appraisal Review Board had over 22,224 protests lodged, of which only 18% of those were changed. That's just over 4,000. Some think, well, I rent, so I don't pay property taxes. That's false. When property taxes go up, landlords feel the squeeze, and they'll usually pass that cost on to renters in the form of higher rent. So, yes, everyone pays one way or another. Just ask your landlord this question: if your property taxes increase, will you increase my rent? So I've noticed that there is a lot of psychological warfare that goes on with these school bonds in the city of Cleburne. And pro school bond political action committees and supporters often appeal to people's emotions, trying to tug at their heartstrings. This is psychological warfare, and it's also known as emotional manipulation. You'll hear a lot of these. Our children's future, the schools are overcrowded, there's safety matters, we have poor facilities, we don't have anything nice. This project is going to create jobs. What about our teachers' pay? Our kids deserve better. So let's break this psychological warfare down, or this type of emotional manipulation. A lot of people will say, our kids deserve better. And of course they do. But this tactic is designed to make you feel guilty if you vote no. Some people will use fear tactics. They'll warn you, if this bond doesn't pass, the schools will fall apart. This is to make you anxious and scared into supporting it. Some people will use the bandwagon effect. They'll say something like, well, the superintendent supports it or the school board supports it. This creates social pressure. But remember, endorsements don't pay your tax bill. Some people will try to use the moral high ground. They may imply that you're against the children if you don't support the bond. And that's not fair, and it's not true. Some people will label opponents as people who don't care about the future. This creates division and vilifies dissent. Fake dilemmas are also common. They'll say, vote yes, or the children are going to suffer. And that's not how democracy works. We deserve honest choices, not ultimatums. Some people may use personal stories to make the bond feel urgent and emotional. Stories are powerful, but don't forget to look at the data. Some people will use political endorsements. Be cautious of these endorsements tied to financial interests. These can be astroturfing, a fake grassroots movement funded by those who stand to gain. Let's say this one more time, just so there's no confusion. Yes, your taxes can go up even if the rate stays the same. Why? Because your tax bill is based on your home's appraised value. If that value rises, and it has consistently, you pay more. That's how the math works. It's not a theory, it's a fact. So who really benefits from these school bonds? Look at where the campaign money is coming from. Follow the money. Political action committees are often funded by companies in the construction industry. This includes HVAC, electrical, plumbing, concrete, architect firms, and more. Now, does that guarantee they'll win the contract? No. But let's be honest. What do you think is going to most likely happen? It's in their best interest for the bond to pass. They'll get more business, more annual revenue, and you, the taxpayer, will foot the bill. Here you can see a number of donors with their annual revenue and the donation that they have given. There have been almost $26,000 in political donations for the financial interest of this bond passing. They get more business, they make more money, and us, we, the taxpayers, are stuck footing the bill. So what can we do about all this? We can vote. Every single vote matters, especially in local elections. This is your chance to have a say in how your money is used. Ask questions, follow the money, look past the emotional appeals. Make your decision based on facts, not feelings. And when it's time, show up and vote.